Thank you.
Muchomba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And those members have called out, please take a minute each. We have overshot our time by more than an hour.
Many other times, Mr. Speaker, we have called parents and students for bursary screening in our constituencies. And more specifically, I speak for Githunguri. And every time you call students to provide information, some of them are so shy to tell you that they have drunkard parents. They are very shy to admit that their home is poor. They are very shy to actually tell you information that they claim it is in their personal space. So in our attempt to screen students and categorize them in the means testing instrument that has been used here, I think we have just got it wrong. Screening students who have not accepted that they come from poor backgrounds and insisting from them to get information, we are not going to get the actual information. I have had incidences where you call those students even into the offices to come and get to understand them more, and they even refuse to attend, only for their mothers to show up later to complain that their students were omitted because the student did not own up to information. So I'm appealing to the PS, please kindly review the means testing instrument. And I would request and beseech of you, please benchmark from the best. We have had private organizations that have been providing bursaries in our backyard. For example, we have the Wings to Fly program. These people go home to home, not because they did not have access to the student, but they realize that the student may not give you the actual information that can be used to actually engage the needy cases of the students. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for having called this Kamukunji, because we realize that we are suffering from lack of information. And from the engagement in this room, we actually can confirm there is a very serious information gap. And if that gap is not going to be sorted in the shortest way possible and days possible, we might land into a confusion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Karemba. Just press and it comes on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go to the next.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Now, the new funding model, Honorable Speaker, I am thinking was supposed to address the crisis of the university funding. And I would like to hear from Madam PS whether indeed she believes that the new funding model is going to sort out the funding crisis in the universities. Then finally, Honorable Speaker, I heard a pronouncement by the President on this issue, if I am not wrong, on the issue of the communication that was done by various universities. Because among the letters that I have seen, even those from my constituency, have very scaring figures of about 300,000, 200,000. Have the universities considered the issue of reissuing admission?
It was in public media that they withdrew that communication, I think.
Have they reissued the letters?
Chancellor, is that correct? Don't give him the mic. You know you have to go on record. When you whisper to me that it's sure, it doesn't help the House.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, yes, we did indicate that the fees or the letters that we had issued earlier on, we know the costs therein, and we promised that as from 5th of August, we will be issuing other letters showing household costs. And those letters
are issuing those letters.
We have already released them, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, yes, say so.
They are there, they are already circulating, and so the households know what they are paying, and everything else is silent. Thank you.
Yes, I am, and I would urge that they employ the technology so as to ensure that the letters get to the students as fast as possible.
And you see, Professor, the problem we have is still communication. When His Excellency the President directed that you withdraw the letter, the public got to know. When you withdrew and issued the next letter, the public never got to know. And that's what we should improve, Madam PS. Karemba, you are done. Kadambi, 1 minute. You have been agitated the whole afternoon.
And I'm expecting your, Mr. Speaker, sir, you had me a minute. Mr. Speaker, allow me just to comment first. With the explanations through the PS, I find that, Mr. Speaker, they are lacking a lot of information. It might be a very good idea, but how to implement it, how to sustain it, it has a lot of questions. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is burden when identifying the poor children, because I'm a single constituency member of Parliament, Joro, and sometimes we do even locational committee so that we can look for these poor people. Madam PS, I'm interested to understand, do you expect or does your team have a clue that there's a probability for a person qualifying to be band 5, that person can qualify to be band 1? Do you expect that? Mr. Speaker, do they have a room probably for the manual transactions? And I'm asking this question considering that we have so many constituencies, including mine, which is not 100% connected with the matters of electricity. Mr. Speaker, sir, and on that point, let us also remember we have poor children, poor families who even cannot afford a plate of food. Therefore, even the matters of telephones, smartphones, the computers, the issues of internet, it is still a challenge. Do we have a room for the manual transactions? And lastly, Mr. Speaker, please, Mr. Speaker, 1 minute. I find it when they give grace period of 1 year, it is not reasonable. Why, Mr. Speaker? In this country, we have brothers and sisters, and even some poor children we have taken to schools with the CDF, who even have finished universities. Even for the last 2 to 3 years, they have not gotten jobs. Therefore, the period grace for 1 year, it is not appropriate.
For 1 year to do what?
I am advising the ministry, Mr. Speaker, sir, to just go and do adjustment, at least to add it from 1 year to probably 2 to 3 years, so that the people shall have finished the universities. They have not gotten jobs. And this, Mr. Speaker, I'm talking through the experience and what is there today in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, Lo. Avoid the temptation to make a speech. Just ask a question.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I also thank you for convening this Kamukunji, which is quite insightful. Honorable Speaker, I've got 2 notable concerns. Number 1 is that even in organizations that aspire to come up with new systems, there's always a test run that is carried out. And there you determine the efficacy levels, but most importantly, it helps you know which direction the whole organization together the new system is heading to. Now, all these problems are coming as a result of confusions. From the ministry itself, we have seen cases where they have issued letters, recall letters, issue new letters. So even to them, they are not sure whether this is a system that is going to withstand the test of time, Honorable Speaker. And how I wish, therefore, that instead of killing the past, or rather the traditional system that we have been accustomed to, that they did it in phases, so that we also know exactly what our students will be.
She said they're running per parcel.
Yeah, but they have killed the previous one, Honorable Speaker. Now, Honorable Speaker, one thing that must not escape our attention is that for the longest, students have been paying between 22,000 to 53,000 shillings. Now, with a new funding model, the fees escalated to over 400,000 shillings, but it is clothed in some many funding under it, so that people think that they are only paying that deficit, which is between 20,000 to about 53,000, again, Honorable Speaker. But all these are loans. So what the students must brace for, Honorable Speaker, is that upon graduation, they have huge loans to service I'm afraid some of them may not even get jobs. But even if you are so fortunate to do, prepare yourself to pay back these monies to the government that will be running into 2 million, 3 million, and even more, Honorable Speaker, depending on the course. So how I wish, therefore, Honorable Speaker, that we just adopted the previous payment model together with the accompanying fees that do not necessarily attract these 400,000 shillings that we now see in the fee structures, Honorable Speaker, that will then be transferred to parents and to the beneficiaries at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
And I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving everyone an opportunity to speak. That is the person that you always are. I will be very quick to make comments because most questions have been asked. But Honorable Speaker, allow me to be the devil's advocate here. I want to speak from the point of information. I was at the University of Nairobi yesterday, School of Law, at one of the lecture theaters where they were admitting law students. And Honorable Speaker, I am here to confirm and congratulate University of Nairobi because that's the only place where I went to verify the workability of this system at the ground level. And we had many students who had challenges with fees, application, and they were all gathered in one of the halls. I can report as a member of parliament for Rango constituency, Honorable Speaker, nobody was turned away because of school fees.
Very good.
As a matter of fact. So I saw that, and I want to thank the system, I want to thank the ministry, but you need to do better. Nobody was turned. I don't know what happened in other universities. I don't know what is going to happen in the ones who are going to be admitted later, but yesterday no student was turned away because of his. Madam Pierce, what informs a basic earning of 5,000 and not 2,000 and not 3,000? Where did you get that information from? Number two, why not build hostels for our students, even from the affordable housing scheme? Why not build hostels instead of burdening our students with loan? And this is what depresses young people to the point of committing suicide. Number three, Honorable Speaker.
Three and last.
I am very fast and I've waited, Honorable Speaker, and I'm your friend.
Everybody else has.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Thank you, Speaker. Another matter that is of concern to me, I am really worried. If a 1975 model of MTI can be used to get interactions of variables and make decisions, when we have better models, newer models like principal component analysis that can give you interactions of the various. Why did you go for 1975 model? Finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this. We do not need as a country, the respect that Kenya gets outside here is more than its measure. We do not need to move from one mathematical model to another one, exchanging models after models and depressing parents. What we need to fix education of this country is free education. That is all we require. We do not want to know how you have gone to school and you come up with this model. Mathematics is not for fixing poverty. We want actualization of issues, qua ground. That is all we want. We do not want, Honorable Speaker, nikamaliza kabisa, we will not talk again. We do not want to depress young people with burden of loans when they start working. Let them go, look for jobs that we should also provide as a country so that we make Kenya a better place to live in. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mayaka, 1 minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Don't emulate your neighbor. Take 1 minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief. Honorable Speaker, I was just looking at the task force report that was shared together with this document. And one of the things that is very apparent is that, number one, there was no pilot done for this system for you to be able to determine the criteria that you're using, because you cannot use a social criteria methodology on informal income earning Kenyans and people in the agricultural sector. That doesn't make sense. Number two, Honorable Speaker, we have a report here that has recommendations and mitigations without any timelines. It just says what doesn't work, but doesn't say when it can be made to work. Number three, Honorable Speaker, when you're using a 1975 model, it's akin to using a Nokia 3310 in the current age. And the way systems and technology is so dynamic, it means that we are not helping our Kenyans. And finally, Honorable Speaker, if you notice one of the task force recommendations here, it actually says that the PWDs cannot be able to use this system. So what happens to children who are PWDs? Do they not go to university? Because there's no solution given here. Thank you. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I just want to suggest...
I thought she said they get special...
This one is a suggestion, Honorable Speaker,
yes,
that will be very helpful to all members. Is that the Q&As that we've asked and the responses that we've gotten, yes, if you can get that together, and also just do brief videos on X and TikTok for the young people who are the consumers of this.
Thank you, Irene. Take your seat.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Jen Kihara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance. We are lucky you called this Kamukunji, which has addressed most of the things, but I can say that actually this information was not for us because they are not addressing the clients. I know the PS had a meeting with the student leaders, which did not end very well. I hope by now, from what has come out of this Kamukunji, most of the answers will have been asked. I will only be able to answer the clients who come to me, like this one here, who sent me a message, and I beg the PS, Madam PS, to answer for me. Dear our MP, I'm a resident of Kayoro, Naivasha, next to Chief's office, where I live with my 3 sons in a 2-roomed house where we all share 1 room as a bedroom. I'm seeking your help since my firstborn son was schooling at Kabumo High and attained grade A, where he left huge balance, but the principal was merciful enough to clear for me. My problem is that he is to pursue a degree in dental surgery in Nairobi University. But unfortunately, the government placed him in band 5, where I'm supposed to pay 245,200 in a year. Not forgetting that I'm jobless. I have another kid in Form 3, where I also have a balance of fees. I'm writing this to you, it's because you find it in your favor, in your heart, to assist me. God bless you. I'm pleading to be placed, even if it is band 2, where I can even get help from friends in case I got stuck. But band 5, there is even no need starting this. So the recipient of this message is not us. I'll be able to get an answer now here. But the actually this information should go to the parents.
We already have the answer.
That's what I'm saying. It should go to the parents, the clients, and the students.
Now tell that parent that you are told in this house, in this meeting, that when the student reports to the university, he goes straight to the desk that has been set up and informs them that he has been placed in the wrong band on the basis of wrong information. Which wrong information? Let me finish for you.
Okay.
Which wrong information was acknowledged by the peers? That they have taken some students from national schools where the fees is high, and they have operated on the presumption that that gives a background of what their parents earn, which is not true. So tell the parent to tell the son, the student, to go and correct.
That's why this Kamukunji is important, because now they'll get to hear from the media and ask, but the ministry is not doing anything to communicate to the correct recipients.
Exactly. Thank you, Jen. And media help the country on this. That's why we call you here to help us. Kipchumba Wakili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for calling us for this Kamukunji so that we can discuss this very important issue. Honorable Speaker, this new funding model heralded a significant shift in policy. Honorable Speaker, going forward, before such a policy is adopted, my proposal is it will be prudent to be brought before the floor of this House to be discussed and members adopt it as a whole. Because, Honorable Speaker, members this report was never brought before the floor of this House so that members could discuss it at that point and understand. Number two, Honorable Speaker, Thomas Fuller said that seeing is believing, but feeling is the truth. Honorable Speaker, I have read through this report. One of the issues that is being raised is that the level of need relies heavily on the information provided by the applicant. Honorable Speaker, why can't the ministry visit the household of these particular students to determine by seeing, by feeling it, so that before the band is before they are categorized in certain bands, they have visited their household to determine the level of poverty. Some of us, Honorable Speaker, from our community, we take pride in our cows. We take pride in our farms. We take pride in our livestock. Honorable Speaker, it is very hard for a Kalenjin person to tell you that I am poor. So some of these are out of information that is not given correctly because we never, or that they never visited the actual students on the ground. Honorable Speaker, I propose that they form a committee. We did a census in this country, Honorable Speaker, where the households were visited. Honorable Speaker, what stops the ministry from going to from household to determine the actual need of these students?
Thank you. Parashina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving us Kajiado an opportunity also. First of all, I need to appreciate your humility and patience. Since 9 up to now, since 10 up to now, Mr. Speaker, today I salute you. Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, the only issue that I really needed to raise, we should not do experimental exercise with our students. This program is getting as it is kicking on. It should have been able to have, as the way Mr. Honorable Muchomba said, we could have discussed it before now being going for experiment. These are the challenges that people are facing just because of the policy that the ministry has introduced without first of all explaining to the public. Number two is the issue of as I told you, as I said, I come from the arid areas. The issue of the bands. Band 1, we could have seen here a proposal that the band 1 should be pure scholarship. I might have been coming from a very poor family, and I'm coming from the people of Kajiado South, and I'm very poor, and I don't have an opportunity to get even the 5,000 or even to anything that I'm supposed to be, any income to equate me to 5,000, and I'm left outside. So that my point is, if possible, we introduce the issue of full scholarship. And this full scholarship should be able to take care of me. Maybe if I'm born as from the poor background, I should be given a same opportunity as someone who's getting the other opportunity, who can access the education. Rather than if I'm forced to take the 95% loan, that kind of program, then tomorrow the issue of repayment to me becomes also a burden to my life, and even securing an opportunity for jobs become also a challenge. So, if possible, there should be a full scholarship for the students who are categories of very poor, very poor and vulnerable. And even the issue of having 100% should be introduced. My last point is about repayment. When we cleared university, some of us also got the help loan. When you are coming to contest for these seats, we are even to be told you have to come with a clearance from help loan. And if the way they are saying that a 1 year repayment, that again is not in the good spirit. There should be repayment. If you are able to connect repayment and employment, it should be the better thing. Many people now are suffering the penalties and everything. You get that you have took a loan of 200,000, now it's going to almost 500,000. For purpose of giving everyone fairness, if I have an opportunity of getting an employment, then my penalties will start there. Not having a penalty for the time I graduate from the university.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mwalio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. We really thank you for calling us to come and discuss about the model of funding the university and our colleges. I want to say that everybody has said about the way the assessment of the income of every parent has been done is not correct. And I say this because one of the masons that who called me yesterday, he said because his employer has been transferring money through his M-Pesa to buy materials for where he is supervising the employer's building. 200,000 has passed through his M-Pesa, and therefore the assessment has placed him his income as 230,000, which is not true, because the mason earns maybe 1,500 per day or 2,000, and that translates to 60,000 in a day if he works for 30 days. But now he has been classified in band 5, whereby he cannot be able even to afford to take the student to the university. So that model everybody has talked about should be able to be checked. And if everything is checked, this will be the game changer for educating our students who are needy, because all of them will be able to go to the university.
Thank you, well done. Oyula?
Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity. Speaker, I have only one issue which I have come across and it's really affecting students in my constituency. That is Butula. There are cases of repeal that have again been rejected. And these students come from very poor background. The cases are rejected because the students were in a national school. And that means they had the ability to pay. So I would want the PS to ask the relevant universities to go up to the family level before the appeals are rejected. Because these appeals come from very needy students. And just because we have sponsored them to go to the national schools, their appeals are turned down.
Thank you. Hamala?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I don't think I will repeat what the other honorable members have already raised. I just have a plea to the PS, Honorable Speaker, who happens also to be my sister from my village, that Honorable Lillian gave me some answers because I was really concerned about how the universities will treat the students on arrival. And she told me that Nairobi University, actually she spoke to all of us here just a few minutes ago, that the University of Nairobi was doing a good job by accepting the students because the misplacement that has taken place has brought a confusion on the ground. One of the parents from my village, his name is Stanley Ndeta, the daughter has been placed in band 5, yet I know it's just a struggler in the village. And so the universities should emulate the University of Nairobi so that this can be corrected. The anomalies were, some of them, Honorable Speaker, the students went to the cyber cafes, and because of the internet problems, they left their information with the operators of the cyber cafes who entered wrong information or just did what I would say uniform information. And therefore, if this will be corrected at the university level, we will appreciate. Thank you.
Yes, Naomi Wako. 1 minute.
Thank you.
Just press.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand on behalf of those people who come from the dry areas and desert in this country. And most of the time, even to apply for the form, for the application is very difficult because most of them come from where we do not have even internet. So how, because right now they have been locked out, and how can we make it easier for them to apply? And then number two, we have the issue of IDs. Majority of them do not have their IDs, even as they join universities. It is hard for them to apply and even be accepted.
She said to apply, you use index number.
Index number.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But it's not an excuse not to have an ID.
Yeah.
We must help our children to get IDs.
To get IDs, yes. So how can we make it easier for them to apply? And because their parents don't work, they have nothing and they have no income, it's quite difficult. How can we make it relevant to them? Thank you.
Last, Ruku. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Don't make a speech. Yes.
Two issues, Mr. Speaker, which I'm requesting the Minister of Education to address or to attempt an answer, is that there are serious concerns as far as management of our universities is concerned. And what we are addressing at the moment are symptoms of this disease. That, for instance, we have a crisis going on at the moment at the University of Nairobi, where the VC, the Vice Chancellor, is thrown out now and then, and we have seen this several times. Also, Mr. Speaker, the allocation of resources to non-core business of the university, which is research and knowledge dissemination, they are left with a very low budget, whereas huge budgets are allocated to building of complexes, construction, renovations, and such kind of project within the universities. What is the ministry doing to this effect to ensure the management of our universities are done properly? The universities which have huge real estates, for instance, the University of Nairobi has one of the most prime real estates owned by universities. What is the ministry doing so that we can be able to use our resources in the most prudent manner, most appropriate manner, and we can even have schemes within the universities paying fees for masters and PhD students, not only depending on scholarship from other countries. And
you're done?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, thank you. Chairman of the committee. Yes, what's your point of order, Mama Dagoretti?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I know we have kept you here just to thank you also on the patience you've had on us. Mr. Speaker, I want the ministry to go and look at one thing. The safety of the students. We must relook at the hostel issue and see how we can bring back the hostels back inside the schools, because they have land. You can work together with those who are the private, but lease them inside so that they can be inside the university for safety, Mr. Speaker. And try and paint Nairobi University. Tell them to paint those old buildings that we have seen for many years, and the curtains and everything. Make the university look habitable for the children who have come from the rural, who have never seen something good than them going to Gathoni. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Lillian, I want us to wind up. What's your point of order?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I would request your August office, Honorable Speaker, and through your directive. We want to work on facts, Honorable Speaker. Is the ministry, or you should direct the ministry to give us fact on paper of who has been placed on what band per constituency, so that we know, and we also do a follow-up, so that we talk from a point of information.
Thank you.
So that we are not just told by the applicants, but we also have that information, and we also help them follow up. Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Meli, I will not invite the PS. All the other interventions have been generic. So I'll invite you as the chair of the committee.
Thank you.
To do a recap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me thank you most sincerely. that we've heard this Kamukunji, and these Kamukunji members have really given their opinions, they have given their questions, they have really ventilated on this, and I think members, you've done extremely well. If you look at the issues raised by each member, they are actually very particular to particular students, to particular constituencies, and these are the issues affecting the country. And as a Committee of Education, I think, Mr. Speaker, we have competently tried as much as possible to prosecute these issues with the ministry, with the minister, with the PSS, with the funding agencies. But I'm glad that today the issue that we have been pushing over and we've not completed with them is the issue of MTI. I want to thank the member for Angwed, especially by noting that a funding formula is very dynamic. When you bring a 1975 model or a 1990 model to try and use it for 2021, it is a disservice to the nation. And I want to say this, many Kenyans have not known that funding models are being used across, like revenue sharing formulas for KRA or for the Revenue Sharing Commission. The funding formulas need to be changing because of the issues that change in the society. A variable that was well measured about 3 or 5 years ago cannot be applicable today. That's why I want the peers and the agencies to take these issues very clearly and as a way forward, Mr. Speaker, through your office, they need to give us timelines and dates when these MTIs issue are going to be reviewed per the variables so that they reflect on the needs on the ground. It is a very good formula. It needs efficiency. It needs accurate data so that people are actually doing it. Banks have been using mean testing, especially on loanees. We have been using it in the banks every other time. And when you are applying for loan, for example, 10 million, the banks will review it down to 1 or 2, depending on the variable that you normally sign. 2 is the issue of communication. And I want to really say this. It is not only in education, it is in the whole government sector. Communication is key. And Mr. Speaker, you know very well that when you lack communication, what takes center stage is going to be misinformation, it will be innuendos, it will be rumors, it will be miscommunication. And that's why the ministry needs to take it up. The PS knows it very well that we've been complaining about it, not only even in the university funding, but in CBC. A good system can be destroyed by lack of communication down to the village level. And this we need to do it both electronically, by way of interpersonal communication through